Where do you start with marketing your small business? Before you even think about social media, Google profiles, search engine optimization, email lists, website upgrades, you have to start by knowing your numbers so you even know what money you have to spend on marketing in the first place, and that's what we're going to cover in today's video. Most people do this backwards. They start with the tools, but where we begin with our farm marketing is pulling apart the math that it takes to get us there. What does it cost you to produce your product? Before you can market anything, you have to understand the economics behind what you're selling. So what does it cost you to do something like raising a chicken? You're going to have your chick costs, your feed costs, your processing, your labor, your packaging, your fuel and transport, equipment wear and tear, and above all, your time. You want to account for your time and the efforts that you're making in your business, not just in the field when you're moving chickens, but when you're transporting them to the processor, when you're doing your budgeting and spreadsheeting and analysis in the office. All of that stuff costs money because it costs you time. I don't have to belabor the point. Don't forget to pay yourself. These are the things that I help you figure out in my book, Pastured Poultry Packet Number 1, The Economics of Broiler Chickens, where we break down all those expenses, where they come from, and how you calculate them on a per chicken basis. Then, after you have your number for how much it costs you to produce something, you need to know how much money do you need to make in order to balance your own budget. So what do you need to earn? You got to balance your household budget, any debt or loans that you may be servicing, insurance, repairs on all the things that you got, trying to build a savings, your farm overhead as an allocation because it's going to have its own taxes and insurance and things that all of your various farm operations are going to have to pay for. At the end of the day, we live in a capitalist society and the score is kept in dollars and cents, and everyone has their scorecard, and you need to figure out what your balance of inputs and outputs are in order to have you continue year to year doing the things that you enjoy doing. So now that we know what it costs to raise something, what we need to produce on an annual basis so that we can afford our lives and all the other obligations and responsibilities, you can start to break down what your pricing is for your products. So you're going to look around, do some market competition, and see what the average selling price is and what that spectrum is from higher priced items to lower priced items, and where you fall on the quality scale and what you can charge and what you need to produce in order to make it look like those prices. That's going to give you your selling price by starting with your competitive research. Then you take your selling price, you minus your cost of goods sold, your COGS, you minus a 10% allocation for your overhead, and that's going to give you your profit before advertising. And yeah, profit before advertising, profit and an advertising margin. The more you spend on marketing to acquire a customer, the less profit you're going to make. The less you spend, you might not be getting a lot of customers, but you're getting a higher margin per customer. And there's a balance of that, and it ebbs and flows over the maturity of your business and the year and the product that you're selling. All of that factors in to how you figure out your pricing and your marketing budget from that profit and advertising margin minus all those other, after you minus all those other expenses. So how are you pricing your products? Once you know your costs and your needs, you can start to set your pricing. Pricing is not emotional. It is based on math and positioning in the market. So you go out and you see who are the other people who are selling things like you want to sell. A chicken, honey, a car, whatever, it doesn't matter. And what are they selling it for, and how much of a premium product is it? And so what is that price scale, and then what is that quality scale, and where does that match up with what you are able to produce for how many dollars based on the costs that we figured out earlier in the video. So now we know what people are willing to spend. What do we need to produce, and where do we need to set our pricing in order to make our budget balance out? So we're going to take our selling price. We're going to subtract out our cost of goods sold, or our COGS. Then we are going to subtract our 10% overhead allocation for things like taxes, insurance, whatever, that maybe not be directly related but are part of the whole entire farm picture. And then that is going to give us our profit before advertising, which is that very important margin that we're going to work with marketing this year. And so that profit before advertising, you can spend more money on advertising and marketing because you need more customers, but you're going to make less money per customer when you're acquiring new customers, typically. Or if you have a really good customer base that's solid and you have a lot of repeat customers, you'll end up with a higher profit than you will an advertising spend because you're not spending as much money acquiring new customers. So there's not one hard and fast rule. there's a sliding scale based on your needs, your motivations, and where you are and can position your product within the market. You following me here? So your marketing budget creates your marketing options. A farm who is operating at $50,000 a year is going to have a much different picture for their marketing budget and marketing resources than a farm that's doing $500,000 a year or $5 million a year. You're getting into more serious small business the higher you get up, and that sliding scale is going to change what is available and what is efficient for you to use in your marketing efforts. So I would say that all small businesses these days need a website. You need a home base on the internet that you own, and you can control the narrative about your website, and you can have any of your other profiles link back to it. If you're a small farm, we're going to go with email and social media as the next step to expand beyond your website. If you're getting into the medium scale, we're going to do some website upgrades and make sure we have professional photos and storytelling on our website and in our social profiles and email, and we're going to dial that in. And then the larger you get into things like paid advertising and automation. Things like that, like Google ads and Meta ads, can work, but it helps to have a certain scale of business. So if you're trying to sell 5 things, you're not going to very efficiently sell 5 things with paid media. But if you have at least 50 transactions a month that happen through your website, you're starting to get into the area where it makes sense. You have the statistical significance to run paid media, but we can cover that in a future video. If you have questions so far, by the way, you can leave them in the comment section below. So what do you do next? As you're working on your farm budgets this year, you're going to come up with a total estimated yearly revenue number, maybe based on your history and maybe based on assumptions, based on how mature your business is, what your goals are, what you're trying to grow, what you're pulling back, what the market's doing, all the things. But you're going to come up with that total annual revenue number. You're going to subtract out your cost of goods sold, your overhead allocation, and all the other things. And I'm not an accountant or a lawyer, so even through this whole video, while I've been giving a lot of advice, please talk to your accountant and your lawyer before you do any serious business deciding, but this will help prepare you for those conversations. So now that we have that profit and advertising number, I'm going to give you 3 benchmarks, and then we can discuss them in future videos for how much do you allocate to your marketing budget and your marketing mix throughout the year in order to sustain, grow, or expand your business. So to sustain your business and be up to 10% of your profit and advertising budget would go back into marketing to make sure that you're paying for automation to get things better, or hosting your website, or getting those professional photos this year. There's a different marketing mix that you're going to have at 10% versus growing your business more. You might put 15% in, and you're paying some more money for new customers. You are expanding the business a little bit, but you're not in aggressive growth. If you're in that aggressive growth phase, you may be allocating up to 20% margin of all the things that are left that we said already, into more aggressive advertising, spending more time on your marketing, because time is money. There's a different conversation. Now we get into the weeds of what are your goals? What is your scale that you're operating at? What is your profit margin? Are there other production efficiencies that you should be looking at before going into marketing? Or are you properly set up for marketing for 2026? And that's what we're going to talk about in this video series. Once you know your numbers and you know your marketing budget, the next step is figuring out who you are marketing to. Not everybody is a customer, and certainly not everybody is a good customer. And so the more clear you can be about who you are marketing to, the easier your marketing efforts are going to become. In the next episode, we're going to talk about how to identify the best customers, people who actually want to buy what you have to sell.